Hi, welcome to New Rotation, the new music podcast where we'll be reviewing and discussing some of the standout tracks from new music playlists and letting you know what we love about them. All the tracks reviewed are linked in the description of this podcast, and we encourage you to give them a listen. We'd all have liked to play a short snippet of each track in the show, but for copyright reasons we can't. So, like a blind man visiting a travel agent, we can only point you in the right direction and hope you enjoy the sounds when you get there. I'm Joe Craven, I'm a mixing engineer and music producer based in London, and I'm joined by Lachezar Zlatkov, who is a filmmaker and content producer and has contributed to today's picks. Lachezar, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. So we've both been listening to new music playlists this week, and we've come up with our favourite picks.
Yes, we have. And I'm so glad that some of my favorites made the cut.
Me too. I think we've got a great mix of songs this week. So let's just jump right in. Here are our 4 favourite tracks from New Music Friday this week.
Number 4.
This track comes from Toronto-based alt-pop and R&B artist Inner Circle. That's spelled INNR, and then The Shape. He is definitely worth checking out. His previous singles Take and Thoughts of the Night are absolute bangers. His new song Regret is a summery sad bop centered around a clean guitar riff and trap beats. He's carved a cool sound with falsettos that sit right underneath the lead vocal and has a kind of jungle meets Maroon 5 type of vibe to it. The clean guitar has a really cool riff, and the delay and reverb are such perfect complements for this washy, chilled sound. This is contrasted with a really tight percussion rhythm part that makes this track feel a little tropical. Whilst at times the vocals feels a little bit slurred, his hook is very much in the vocal production. The words heartbreak and die in the chorus have this cool pitch down effect that kind of feels like it's melting. It might even be a reverse reverb. The structure is tight and it bangs where it needs to. The song also uses filters and spot effects and claps to create waypoints for the listener. I tell you what, it's unclear when he's next putting out music, but I can't wait till he does.
Number 3.
And number 3 is At the Door by Marlon Craft. Marlon Craft is a New York rapper. He released his debut album in 2019 and was praised by the likes of Killer Mike and T.I. with the all-too-relevant title track Gang Shit that explored the horrors of police brutality and injustices in America. And that was in 2019. Craft is definitely a skilled poet. I think this is the first time I've heard big medical words like glucose and dopamine mentioned in one song. It's very clever. Spoken word is not really the right term for it, but it's so chilled and deep, and Marlon does it really well. Musically, the foundations seem quite standard, like a lo-fi piano and a boom-bap beat, but they're sprinkled with some nice pitched vocal samples and percussion elements. I love the arpeggiator that appears just before the chorus. It feels like it was taken straight from the Igor album by Tyler, the Creator, but it fits so perfect. If you get a chance to listen to this song, the strings in the chorus sound just like they were recorded in Kentucky Hoedown or something, because they're so squeaky and imperfect. But perhaps a polished aesthetic wouldn't have worked for this song. And it's one of the defining elements of this track, along with the knack, 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 which is unexpected, but needed. His next release, How We Intended, is out next month.
Number 2.
Believer by Black Honey. Formed in 2014, Black Honey are a 4-piece indie rock band from Brighton. Their new single Believer has a religious satire to the lyrics, but comes across as a really feel-good track, thanks to its slightly edgy, energetic vocal delivery, rich horn parts, and larger-than-life chorus. And the verses are good too. It's almost like the guitars and the drums dip away just for the vocal. But the cool thing is that they're still making music during lockdown. And you can't beat the sound of live instruments. There's pretty much everything in here. Guitars, electric and acoustic, live drums, bass and piano. I kind of hear an Imagine Dragons vibe to it at times, especially in the breakdown. But the chorus is so full and impactful, and I was really impressed by their music video too. Their new album, written and directed, is set to be released later this March.
Number 1.
At number 1 this week is Coming Closer by Rye. Latch and I both agreed that it's a standout track that just felt great. Rye is a project band by Mike Milosh from Toronto, who is based in Los Angeles. He's a singer-songwriter and producer and is also a classically trained cellist, so he knows his stuff. He's been around for a while, with 3 studio albums and a new album, Home, set to be released at the end of this month. He has a very different tone. You wouldn't think that it was a guy singing. It's like when you first hear Childish Gambino, Redbone. You're like, no way, when you find out that it's Donald Glover. The track is excellent sonically, emotionally, and the way it builds is just really refreshing. It's super chilled, and you don't even know where you are until these tight drum machines kick in and ground you with this infectious bounce. The track feels so regal and pristine, with a delicate vocal and full strings that are counteracted with this deep, full bass that I love. What I think's great about this song is the identity of the track. I can hear the room around the piano, the rustling of paper and moving chairs. The beginning and the end have the same soft piano, which gives it this sort of cyclical narrative, like an unexpected fever dream that you've been transported, only to wake up and your friend's still playing the same chord on the piano. It feels really ethereal. The lyrics aren't what sells it, it's more about the feeling and the mood. I don't think I could sing along to it, and it wouldn't get stuck in my head. But the sheer production, storytelling, and atmosphere is top class. Give it a listen. So Lach, it'd be great to talk to you just about some general music stuff. What do you think 2021 has in store for us?
I'm super excited to see what people are going to come up with post-COVID and what everyone's minds will drive them towards in the new year after battling and after experiencing such tragedies. So I'm excited for the new music trends.
Yeah, me too. I think looking back at 2020, Beni, Lil Nas X, Ashniko, they've all come from the TikTok platform. And do you think that it'll continue to have such an influence this year?
It definitely will, purely because it gave platform to so many people during the pandemic. And these people have built an amount of confidence and a way to express themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that lockdown will have an effect on music? Do you reckon people will talk about the idea of isolation and the feelings of it and being in your own headspace?
Yeah, we're really not ready for this
Okay.
yet. I genuinely feel like once the pandemic's over, people will want to hear more about other people's experiences and stories. That's why, like, even filmmaking has stopped talking about COVID for a bit, and instead has focused on like getting people distracted a little bit because everyone's looking for an escape instead of presenting an alternative version of reality. So the boom, as I would call it, of post-COVID art, in music specifically, would come after we've won the battle with the pandemic.
After it's over. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. But Lachezar, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Be sure to check in next week for a new instalment. We've been New Rotation. Until next time, goodbye.